You provide some historical background for the structure of the NRC and more specifically for the chairman's authority. I think this is important based on the last questioning. I understand that when the commission was established, much of the power was evenly distributed among the commissioners. Is that correct?
Under the reorganization?
Under the original structure of the commission, it was much of it was evenly distributed,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then it was changed, and it was changed because of 3 Mile Island. Was that right?
Correct.
And after 3 Mile Island, both the Presidential Commission and an NRC commissioned review identified issues with that structure I described with the equal power, and so they completely overhauled the commission structure. Is that right?
Correct.
Now, can you talk to me for a minute about some of the expanded duties and responsibilities of the chairman under that reorganization plan in 1980?
Yes.
Specifically, ma'am, under Section 2 of the reorganization plan, it assigns the chairman responsibility for all functions, serving as the commission's spokesman, serving as the commission's principal executive officer responsible for developing policy planning and guidance for consideration by the commission. It also assigns him the responsibility of administrative functions of the commission, distribution of business among the offices of the commission and preparation of the budget estimates, and then propose the distribution of appropriated funds. The reorg plan states that the chairman determines the use and expenditure of funds of the commission in accordance with the distribution of appropriated funds. So clearly he's got some unique responsibilities and duties that are different than those of other commissions.
He's got additional responsibilities and duties.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And that plan was approved by Congress, as I understand it.
Yes, ma'am.
1980.
It was approved in 1980. Thank you.
Reorganization.
And so really to say that what may or may not have happened in this situation with Chairman Jazcko is illegal is probably inaccurate. And I think you've answered that about 10 times. Is that correct, Mr. Bell?
Yes.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a suggestion, and Mr. Murphy will tell you we had a very, very informative trip last week where we looked at nuclear disposal, permanent and studies for permanent, and also reprocessing and interim disposal. And I've been interested in this issue for many, many years, ever since I went to Yucca Mountain with Chairman Emeritus Barton, and I've been thinking, irrespective of what you think about the issue of nuclear energy for this country as a policy, the fact is that we have to grapple with this, and we have to grapple with it in a way that is science-based, not in a way that's based on politics. And the concern I have is that in this country, much of what we've done, and you can argue on either side of the aisle who's more at fault, is we base our issues on how we should dispose of the current and future nuclear waste on politics and not on science where it will work. And so I guess my suggestion would be, look, we're in a situation right now where we had looked at Yucca Mountain. They were undergoing their scientific studies. The last administration tried to expedite the certifications, even though the studies weren't over, and now this administration has shut it down. And we can argue back and forth whether what the chairman did was illegal or just wrong, or maybe not wrong at all, or maybe a miscommunication. We can argue about all of that, but the truth is we now don't have a permanent facility that's either certified or under certification process. And it seems to me that that would be a very fertile area for us to look at in this committee, because at some point, irrespective of how we decide to take our nuclear power, our nuclear energy policy in the future, we're going to have to grapple with this. And so that would be my suggestion. We can waste a lot of time arguing about these details, or we can move forward and say, what are we going to do now coming from where we come? Thank you, and I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back her time, and I would just say that the delay of the SEER report is a delay of science-based information for Yucca. That's part of this whole debate, is the SEER report, which has been delayed. And I yield 5 minutes to the Vice Chairman of the committee, Mr. Murphy, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Certainly it is important from my friend from Colorado that this is important to adhere to scientific information, because the implications are not only what happens